was created by American horticulturalist Major Lawrence Johnston in 1907 and includes rare trees and shrubs, fantastic herbaceous borders and unusual plants. In the 1950s, Marjorie Fish created the archetypal cottage garden at East Lambrook. She wrote many books about gardening and has been hugely influential in gardening court. Well, looking at it now, it's hard to believe that way back in 1907, when the National Trust first bought this property, it had fallen into a semi-derelict state. When the great estate kitchen gardens were disappearing. Improved transport links in the early part of the 20th century made self-sufficiency unnecessary, and so it is rare to find a garden that's been... Join me after the break when I'll be exploring more of the courts and Toby Musgrave visits a garden that's full of colour from March to October. Sandra Pope took over a neglected kitchen garden at Hadsburn in 1987. Toby went along to meet them to discover how colour has been the inspiration for the amazing transformation. Here at Hesdecombe there are two very distinct gardens. Behind the house, a landscape garden laid out in the mid-18th century by Copplestone Warbank Wilde. And at the front, the Somerset countryside is Cot Hay, a classic medieval manor built in 1480. The garden was redesigned and replanted within a structure. Stourhead, one of the most outstanding landscape gardens in England. It was created by Henry Hoare in the middle of the 18th century and is now owned by the National Trust. Pollard began developing a garden at the Abbey House in Malmesbury in 1994. Toby went along to meet them to discover how the history of the Abbey inspired their creation. Back to the Eden Project. Well, only a few years ago, this site was a disused china clay pit, 60 metres deep and the size of 35 football pitches. Lights Carey is an ancient manor house set in the Somerset countryside. Parts of the house date back to the 14th century, but as Toby Musgrave discovered, the garden is one of the most important horticultural sites owned by the National Trust. Although the house is Victorian, the gardens weren't developed until after the Second World War by Sir John. The original Victorian garden was a rather dull mix of yew hedges, formal lawn and parkland. But just after the Second World War, Joyce Lady Heathcote Amory began to revitalize court. The garden here was begun in 1920 by Heather Muir, the first of 3 generations of women gardeners. Like its close neighbour Hidcote, it's a series of interconnecting, changing and developing. Successive generations have added to it, implanting their personalities in the soil. And I mean, this really sums it up, doesn't it? My brother Ricky had started writing songs. In fact, he really irritated me the night he wrote Kids in America because he had this little machine called a Wasp, and there was Ricky in the room right next to me in our little part of the house, pressing this damn thing, going no. I thought, come on. I do remember them once asking me if I'd thrown up in my shoes.
What coloured socks do you wear?
Graham Coxon on the cover of Smash Hit.
Haven't changed a bit.
Why can it
Very honoured that you are both here. Do you understand German? No.
No,
That's why I speak English. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just told the audience that I had posters.
I searched for the beat in this dirty downtown. The hours are going downtown. The hours gathered by the flame. We are just the same. Embrace the wind and fall into another time and space. Bits and pieces from your stone rain upon me as they fall, melt into my skin and I feel warm. Sweep upon me like a wave. We are young and brave. Because we both always, liked each other and respected each other as artists.
Drawn together by the flame, we are just the same.
She took it. Everything she did, she got from me.
Ja, wir haben jetzt noch ein paar Fotos aus dem Archiv hier.
Ich finde das ja so gemein. Guck mal, die sieht immer so cool aus. So cool habe ich nie ausgesehen damals.
From the charts, Kim's now a successful gardener and working mum. While she wants to shed some pounds, she's also looking to use the spa's alternative therapies to relax.
get a bucket, get a tube, you shove it up you and let it all hang out.
No, that's really what I want. A nurse, I want a curd.
You want surgical gloves? Most any circumstances, but I'm beginning to wonder if I might lose it now, if I have to go through this the whole week.
Cleansing the mind is becoming as important as cleansing the body.
I definitely feel more interested in the spirituality of it, a lot more than I thought. And it's I was thinking this earlier as well, it's very easy in life to be very cynical about lots of things, any number of things.
So, Kim, what are you doing in the UK?
I do a lot of gardening programs because I'm a garden designer and a journalist at home, and I've got 2 kids, so I run after them. Now, there's a lot of flint in this ground because I've gardened it for the last 6 years and it's just everywhere.
What's the soil like?
It's very clay.
Oh, great. It's going to take us forever, isn't
Actually,
it?
here there seems to be quite a lot of chalk I've noticed in the past as well. So pull myself into the whole idea of being on stage again, wearing leather pants again, singing Kids in America again. I just didn't think I could do it, and I didn't know how much I'd enjoy it, and I had such a great time. And then they asked me last year, and now they've asked me this year, and I'm going to do an 80s tour in Australia.
You're combining it.
That some of the magazines here were trying to pitch us against each other, Kim Wilde versus Nena and all this sort of stuff. But every time we met, we got on like a house on fire.
Met een nieuwe versie van Nena's hitje Irgendwie, Irgendwo, Irgendwann.
To me was the detox part of it, that sort of cleansing your whole body, and I did actually feel absolutely fantastic. It was a great break, having had 2 kids and feeling quite, slow, like my body wasn't my own anymore. And I came away from Thailand, having done that detox and sticking that pipe where I had to. And we wanted to have some children, and now we've got a little 3-year-old Rose and a 5-year-old Harry. We wanted to grow a Garden of Eden for them to grow up in, and it all started from our own backyard.
And had you any experience before of gardening?
Very, very little. And I went back to college for a few years and did a sitting guild.
The reason you're here is because you're about to start touring again.
Yeah, we're doing this 80s tour, the Here and Now 80s tour. It starts next Thursday in Newcastle and then runs for a couple of weeks, and we're going to be up and down the country singing our 80s tunes.
Is it quite easy to kind of pick up where you left off last time and kind of get back into the swing of...
We met several times in the 80s. I was the very, very young guy with a tiny nose. Und ich habe für die Zuschauer zu Hause...
Wie wird eure Zusammenarbeit in Zukunft aussehen, Kim? Are you planning on doing another song with Nena?
I'd love to.
Also wahrscheinlich, ja. Habt ihr denn schon was in Planung, oder?
And today we decided... accompanying booklet for meal plans and recipes if you like. But do watch section 2, the 10-day plan, 1 day at a time.
Peel the fruit and eat the inside, doesn't matter. When you put a slice of the lemon with the peel on into your hot drink, that wax dissolves and you swallow what's there. You use the opposite hand to press on the thumb, and that's what does the work. You know what it's like. 2 or 3 minutes, your fella gives you a bit of a massage and he says, "Oh, my hand hurts, I can't do it anymore."
Enjoyed the dried fruit. Definitely feeling an improvement in my sense of well-being, as well as losing some of my holiday pounds. Had plenty of energy.
Sit in a straight back chair. Raise your shoulders up as high as you can, with your arms just hanging by your sides. Then raise your right knee towards your chest. At the same time, stretch across with your left hand to reach the right knee, lifting your left shoulder.
Wrap your fingers round my neck. You don't speak my dialect.